It's really so wonderful to see a room full of leaders in the industry who are anxious to learn about what's been happening in sustainable film production and how we can grow that. And I think as well how we can showcase Vancouver as a center for excellence for sustainable film production. I'd like to, before I get started, I'd just like to thank all of our sponsors and partners. There are a number of folks who came together to make today happen. Today's event is presented by Creative BC, along with the support of Western Economic Diversification and the Government of Canada, the City of Vancouver, the World Bank, the U.S. Embassy in Ottawa, Vancouver Economic Commission, Bridge Studios, North Shore Studios, and Vancouver Film Studios, who I would know have been working really hard on the sustainability front. So it's great to have all of you here. I know that Creative BC has been working actively on this front for many years through the Real Green Initiative, and we're very proud to have worked with them to bring this event to fruition. So thank you, Creative BC, for your partnership on this event. We have some very special guests here today that will share what they've learned in working in this space and how to champion further discussion and action on the greening of Vancouver's production industry and of course the broader industry as well. Just before I introduce our next guest, a lot of you know this, but I thought it was important to stop on just a couple of points just regarding our industry here and some of the impact that we're making. You may be aware that we currently generate $143 million in payroll in Vancouver postal codes, and that of course alone leads to a very diverse economy. We are the third largest production center in North America, and I am told that we should challenge this after the amazing year that we're having. And on that note, we currently have over 60 productions filming in Vancouver currently, including commercials. So as you know, it's a very busy time, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to come here and be with us today. Obviously, it doesn't stop at physical production. We also have created an environment where post-production, digital, animation, and are all based here in Vancouver, and it really is a creator's paradise. So congratulations to all of you for just keeping this industry humming. Now, without further ado, there's a gentleman who rolled up on his bicycle, of course, this morning. You might know who he is. He is a trailblazer and a proponent of putting environmental issues at the forefront of our city with the goal of Vancouver becoming the greenest city in the world. And I could really think of no better way to kick off today's day than with a welcome from Vancouver's Mayor Gregor Robertson. Welcome.
Thank you, Jackie, and good morning, everyone. Great to see you here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and looking forward to what comes from today. This is, well, first let me acknowledge we're on the unceded homelands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, and always thankful for that. And it is a very exciting time. I would say it's my favorite time of year, this time of year when you feel the seasons, you feel, well, some remorse as the summer fades away, but at the same time, the film festival starts happening. So
Day 8.
Day 8. Yeah. So it's an exciting time in the city. Lots of festivals going on, but none as potent at this time of year as the VIFF. And I have been traveling a bunch, so I haven't plugged in as deep as I hope to this weekend, and get caught up on what films are going on and what celebrations are going on. And what really excites me is that you folks and others who are coming today are focused on green production and bringing two of Vancouver's great strengths together and figuring out how to take it to the next level. We are, as Jacqueline said, we are very focused on being the greenest city in the world by 2020. We have a that's okay. This is pretty cool. I can fly this thing. So being the greenest city in the world is our big goal. We have a very clear plan to get there, metrics attached to that, and ultimately it's a plan about taking care of our environment, which we revere here. That's a big part of why we're in this beautiful city, and we feel that responsibility to keep taking care of it, make it even better for the next generations, and keep cleaning up our city. and be a model for other cities. But beyond that, it's an enormous business opportunity. And I think many of us, myself included, prior to this life in politics, was in business and in food. And I was very focused on the efficiency and sustainability in the food industry. And it made business sense. It was enormous business opportunity, and the consciousness we've seen about people's food choices, we're seeing kind of across the board with all different industries, consumer goods and activities. So it's a very important direction for business to go, leadership and better bottom line ultimately, and a more compelling place to work when you're focused on having values that take care of the environment and the efficient use of the resources that we have. So that's really what today is about, is looking at best practices, looking at what has advanced here. We've had some great leadership in this city, and I think some of those great ideas have already spread far and wide. Certainly down the coast, there's many of the same traditions and values in California. But we need to keep growing this. There's always that pressure, the time is money, and shortcuts that inevitably happen, not just in creative industries, but also across the board. So this is really about figuring out the win-wins. And we have, some extraordinary guests from around the world who are part of this day. Connect for Climate Group of the World Bank is part of this, as well as represented from BAFTA in the UK. So we've got some insight coming from afar, which we're thankful to have. We have an exceptional person who is going to be speaking and talking about the leadership that happened on X-Files. And Chris Carter, they've done extraordinary work on reducing their waste. We have a goal to get to zero waste, and there are a few cities. San Francisco is actually, I'd say, the global leader right now in terms of getting to zero waste. We're chasing San Francisco now in our quest, and reducing the materials that could end up in a landfill or an incinerator is really the bottom line there. Getting that to zero, so everything's being recycled, or reused, or repurposed, that is really what it's all about. And on X-Files, they have quite an extraordinary tale to tell about the work that was done there, industry leadership, and that dates back some years, obviously, as an industry pioneer in this. So we're very fortunate to have that leadership from early on, as the industry was growing and booming here in Vancouver. And now, creative industries are enormous in Vancouver. Right? There's over 40,000 jobs in digital entertainment and interactive now in Vancouver. We're very, very proud of the industry. And not just the activity, not just the commerce of it, but also the depth and breadth, and sustainability is a big piece of that. So this is about a learning opportunity today, and also about making better sense with business and getting that combo right. So we have a bunch of work done here by the Vancouver Economic Commission that Jackie mentioned, focused on growing our green companies and greening the companies across the board in Vancouver. We are a real hub for green jobs here in Vancouver. It's about 4 or 5% of our job force are actually in green jobs, companies that are restoring the environment in a positive direction. And we have lots and lots of companies that are greening their operations, which is really what today's all about. We're very focused on low carbon industries. Creative industries certainly fit the bill in that respect. So it's a big focus for the Vancouver Economic Commission. Folks are here from there if you need to plug in further on that level, as well as lots of Sandy Swanigan at the city and the great work that she does to support industry. And we're always looking for how the city can enable and support, and anything that we do that's contrary to getting greener and making more business happen, we need to know about it from you, and we need to improve and make sure we're supporting you in that. So that's ultimately our goal, is to get more of this happening. Keep creative and green booming in Vancouver. Bring those together, and it's all good. That's our focus, and thank you very much for being part of this day. Enjoy and learn.
Thank you, Your Worship. In just a moment, we will introduce our keynote speaker. The presence of our esteemed guest of honor, Chris Carter, at VIFF today was sponsored in part by the U.S. Embassy in Ottawa. Later today, he'll be receiving the VIFF Industry Builder Award, presented in partnership with the Motion Picture Production Industry Association for his sustainable production of the season 10 revival of The X-Files. And we're very fortunate today to be joined by the U.S. Consul General of Vancouver, Lynn Platt, to introduce our special guest and keynote speaker. Welcome, Lynn.
Well, good morning, everyone, and what an honor to be here. Thank you, Jacqueline. I'm thrilled to be introducing our keynote speaker, who is the award-winning writer, producer, director, and creator of The X-Files, Chris Carter. The show was a huge hit when I was serving overseas in the 1990s. And in fact, the first time I ever saw it was when I was working in Casablanca, Morocco. And all of my friends kept talking about these two characters named Scully and Mulder. And I remember the first time I saw it and thought, wow, that is really something I have never seen before. It was extraordinary. And particularly extraordinary was the way that the city of Vancouver was almost like another character in the series. So it was the first major episodic television series to be filmed in Vancouver in the 1990s. And then Chris returned to British Columbia for the movie follow-up, X-Files, I Want to Believe. And last year, he came back to film the 2016 revival on TV as a 6-episode miniseries. So we're going to take a look at some of the sustainable production. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Chris Carter.
Thanks, Lynn, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. Who knew we were big in Casablanca? I have to say that Zena and her group stole all my thunder. I have nothing really to say. This was an amazing experience, and let me say this. My friend Yvon Chouinard, the founder of the outdoor clothing company Patagonia, who the New Yorker magazine recently called a philosopher king, has a mission for his company. Make the best product, but do as little harm to the environment as possible in the making of it. Some years ago, Yvon brought in a consultant to advise him and his directors on the best way to chart this course. The choosing of vendors, the sourcing of materials, the best methods of manufacture. What the consultant told them was this: if you really want to do no harm, simply go out of business. Fold up the shop and go home. And therein lies a very stark truth. You can't really have it both ways. You can't avoid environmental degradation in producing goods, no matter how true your mission. This goes for Yvon Chouinard and Patagonia, and for us and our business in particular. If we all really wanted to go green, we would quit making movies and TV and turn storytelling back to our friends, relatives, and religious leaders. Let people get their entertainment the old-fashioned way, from the great outdoors. Although even sitting around a campfire adds carbon to the atmosphere. I'm sure none of you sees this happening anytime soon, and neither do I, but I think it's important to be mindful that we make a product the world can very well do without. A luxury good. And in manufacturing a luxury, we must hold ourselves to a higher standard. Not only must we make a great product like Patagonia, but we must also do as little harm as possible. I feel a little bit like I'm preaching to the choir here in Vancouver. Having lived here off and on for 25 years, I still tremble in fear that my garbage isn't separated properly and it won't be taken away. You hold yourself to the highest standards here, and I can say that with my recent experience here on the X-Files. That goes for film production as well, although film production is now something of a misnomer. You're lucky, of course. Most of your power here is hydroelectric and clean, as you saw in the video. But that is just one of the many reasons it's not only preferable to shoot here, but responsible as well. Last year, I saw how much the spirit of sustainability in Vancouver has carried over to the business of entertainment. This is not lip service or false praise from an American producer holding the line on plastic water bottles. What you may have missed in the video was that we recycled 81% of our material waste on the show. Over 40 tons of that foam that you saw, and I think 33 tons of waste on top of it. A tremendous amount of stuff that would have just gone into the trash. We prevented tens of thousands of pounds of carbon from entering the atmosphere. But I think the big news is that sustainability is achievable. It can be done through a spirit of cooperation, sharing, and mindfulness. That's a word that's thrown around a lot these days, but in this case, it is apt. Every choice we make in production is an energy choice, whether it's using biofuels in our generators or simply turning off our vehicles if we've stopped to talk on the phone. And in spite of how good this is for the planet and our immediate environment, here's your big incentive. It saves money. In 2015, we saved over $40,000 on the production of the X-Files. So here's my prediction. Vancouver is going to become the model for green production, certainly in North America. And when the word gets out, producers are going to be flocking here like you've never seen before. You're going to have to build a wall. It'll be huge, made out of recycled materials. And yes, the Americans are going to pay for it. Thank you all for inviting me here to speak today and giving me a break from the madness down in the US. Thank you.